Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Boulder Talk with AVC. I am your host, AVC. I am joined by another guest on the show this week. This is my longtime friend and fellow Boulders fan, Teddy Ryder. Teddy, how you doing, buddy?
How are we? Never been better.
Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
No problem, anytime.
All right, so Ted, you and I have been Boulders fans for about the same amount of time and for quite a long time. Can you just speak on how you became a fan of the Boulders?
Well, how I became a fan, we were young. I say me and you were both about, I don't know, 8, 9, still in elementary school. I believe when we went to our first game, they just came to town, and our parents thought it'd be something cool for us to enjoy as a family experience. And so I think for the first one, it was you, your parents, my sister, and my parents, and we went there to kind of test the waters, because we've gone to Yankee games before that and we loved them. And this was a cool, really inexpensive way to enjoy baseball.
Inexpensive was the key right there.
Very.
It was especially living in New York with Yankee tickets being what they are, being able to actually watch affordable baseball in person, there's something to see.
Yeah.
So, obviously we went to a ton of games together. I always remember arguing between sitting at the bridge bar and sitting at the short porch. Remember, we could never figure that out. You grabbing Dippin' Dots every freaking 7th inning.
Beautiful.
And just for another question, I mean, what do you think your favorite parts of the games were, like outside of the games? Because in minor league baseball, they have all that other shenanigan stuff. Is there anything you particularly remember that you enjoyed while we were there?
There's just really a lot of just a good way to enjoy baseball with your family. It's a good way to get out with your family and enjoy something different, instead of just sitting around the house or something. You go out, you have food and drinks and watch a good game of baseball, and it really brings your family together and you really have a lot more fun.
I always remember one of our favorite things at these games, one of them being the mascot race. For the Boulders, they have the 3 mascots. They have Butters the bagel, Sprinkles the donut. I'm blanking on the name of the hot dog. I cannot remember his name.
The Bambino.
Oh, the great Bambino, yes. And I remember you always betted for the underdog. You were always rooting for Big Daddy Sprinkles.
Yeah, Big Daddy Sprinkles never won. He just flat out was awful.
Never won a race. You always had 0 wins.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But it wasn't just the games that we ended up going to Boulders and Provident Bank Park for. There was obviously also a lot of other things, such as like the ice skating rink. Do you remember all that kind of stuff?
Yes, I do. Yep. I remember the first year that they had the ice skating rink. In the middle of winter, we went there, a couple of our friends, and it was really, they had the little rink in the outfield there, and they had the Sandlot playing on the big screen in center field, and it was just another way to get out and enjoy the outdoors and have a nice little time and with your family and friends for pretty cheap.
So obviously, again, like I said, the cheapness of Boulders was always an attractive thing, along with just so many things you could do there between the mini golf course. Now that they have set up, they had the big jungle gym in the back, obviously the ice rink. But the other big thing was they had other promotionary things there. I think we went to an NYPD FDNY hockey game, I think. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, they had the baseball games they've had there before, the NYPD FDNY baseball games. It's from us, you coming with the law enforcement background, the fire department background, same thing here. It's just another way to get out and watch people and things you're passionate about, have fun and have a friendly game of baseball or hockey.
Now, getting into the Boulders as a team, do you recall who probably your favorite all-time player is while we went to games?
My favorite all-time player? I guess it would have to be, Steven Cardulo. And he's one of the guys, he was with the Boulders for a long time. And he's one of the, minor league, with baseball leagues like this, you don't see the same players every year on the teams. And he was one of the players who stuck around for a few years. and you got to know him and got to see him, and he was pretty good. And does he still play in the? And he's in the minors still?
I think he retired
He
recently,
retired.
actually, but he did make the majors with the Rockies for a little bit.
Yes. So he had some success later on in his baseball career, and it's cool to see that.
Yeah, I remember specifically when we used to talk to Boulder to our friends, we had a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, these are just bums; they're not going anywhere." There were a bunch of guys. I remember Cardulo. I think Edmondson played in AAA ball for a bit. I think Arojo signed with the Marlins. There are a bunch of guys. One of the ace pitchers, I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's now the Minnesota Twins pitching coach. So there was actually a lot of talent that went through there.
Yes.
So, and the one other big event I remember us going to was that Boulders versus, I think they were playing Cuba, the international thing.
Yes.
We had the whole the trapeze act beforehand. That was definitely an interesting part of that whole experience. And then there was the big fight in like the 6th inning between the Boulders and Cuban guys.
Yeah, that was a very interesting game. But it was pretty cool to see, like another country's national team, to see them and see like what other countries and how their skill level is and how good they are. It's just something you see, and especially for like, $10 a ticket, to see a national team play, it's something really special.
And I think people have this misconception that because it was lower level minor league baseball, that nobody went to these games. I remember some of the games we went to were packed. We had some sold out games.
Yeah, in the playoffs, it gets really crowded. They have a good amount of seats there, so it's kind of hard to fill it up. But as you got later in the season, more and more people started to come, and later in the years, as they got more popular in Rockland County, there's definitely a lot more people who showed up.
Yeah, especially once they got good.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of big changes with the organization this year. One of them is the whole move to the Frontier League, which now makes them an associate of Major League Baseball. Just as a fan, what would your reaction be to that?
I think it's pretty exciting. I think it's a big step for the Boulders as an organization. I think it would add a new level of competition and maybe even draw more fans to see that they are affiliated with Major League Baseball. And I think it appeals to just a fan's eye. You see, hey, this team's affiliated with Major League Baseball. This might be something cool to watch.
Yeah, especially now they're not currently affiliated with any particular team, but there is going to be some guys going through there who we're probably going to see at some point, either it's upper minor league baseball or in the majors one day. Probably definitely see some more talent that way. The other big thing is the new manager, which is this guy by the name of TJ Stanton. If you remember, I don't know if you remember, he coached that Montreal Les Alegras team that we always hated. So just the fourth manager of the team, just a reaction to a guy like that being hired.
I don't know him too well, but I feel like to have someone who has experience, playing at this level or coaching at this level, I think it's a good signing to have someone with experience and who knows how to do it and has been around for a long time and just gets how things are run in a baseball organization and knows how to coach.
And now one of the things is you talked about it, the turmoil of the roster every single year. The roster this year is almost completely new. I don't think we'd recognize almost anybody on the team. And now one of the things with the whole Frontier League is I had Seth Cantor on last week and he told me this. There's actually going to be an age cutoff in this league now. There's going to be an age cutoff at 26 years old. So we're not going to see anybody above the age of 26. So it's going to be a lot of young guys. And one of the big things with that, I remember Seth was talking about, is just how much TJ is going to impact this roster because he's basically picking and choosing his players. I don't know, as a fan, does a lot of thought process go into players as a particular, or do you just kind of root for the team? You don't really focus too much on the players.
At this level, I feel like people don't really know who these players are and like their skill level and their background. But I think as the season goes on and you see these players' skill levels and how they perform as a team, and you get passionate about rooting for your hometown team, and the fans will start to love them, and start to really enjoy, especially like young players like that. It just they have a little more energy and stuff, and that's what people these days look for, that young energy, talented people.
Now, again, I was talking to Seth last week. He says he's hoping to have a regular season this year. Obviously, they kind of sneaked around it last year with the whole arts and entertainment thing.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, obviously, now they're affiliated with Major League Baseball. They can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
They're planning on having at least a little bit more than half capacity. Are you going to try to go to some games this year?
I definitely, yeah. I think it would be a good idea to go out and go to watch live baseball again. And I think it's smart, to open up. You see Major League Baseball, some teams are opening up, to limited capacity or full capacity, like Texas. So, I think it'd be just nice to go out and watch baseball and get out of the house and, enjoy a live sporting event again.
So just a final question for you, man. Do you think the Boulders, a lot of turmoil, new manager, you think they have a shot at the championship in their first year in this league?
You know what? I think they do. Young, energetic team, new manager. Who knows baseball. I think it could be a very, very good year for the Boulders. It may start out like a little slow. They might not be used to playing with each other. New manager, the whole new league. They might start out a little slow, but I think as they get used to it and the season progresses, they'll definitely progress as a team and definitely be playoff contenders.
All right, Ted. Thanks, man. Great to have you on the show. Hopefully you and I can get back to going to some Boulder games soon once they start opening up in May.
All righty. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thanks, man. And that is going to do it on the talk on Boulder Talk with AVC. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Go Boulders.